Let's talk about you. No, I mean really you. That feeling of an I that's at the very center of your universe. Well, today we are digging into one of the most radical, kind of mind-blowing theories about that self, all from Jean-Paul Sartre's 1937 essay, The Transcendence of the Ego. He pretty much took our whole idea of the self and just tossed it right out the window. It's going to be a wild ride.
But before we get into Sartre, let me ask you something. Just right now, where is your self? If you had to point to it, where would you point? I'm guessing somewhere in your head, right? Kind of behind your eyes, like a little pilot sitting in the cockpit of your body. Just hold on to that idea, because we're about to see a totally different map.
Because in this short but seriously explosive essay, Sartre basically says that your self isn't in your head. In fact, it's not in you at all, not anywhere. Yeah, you heard that right.
So, to get our heads around this, here's the plan. First, we'll look at the classic view of the ego, the one we all kind of know. Then, we're diving into Sartre's idea of an empty consciousness. After that, we'll see where that feeling of I actually comes from. Then, we'll figure out how we build this ego outside of ourselves. And finally, we'll get to why any of this really, truly matters.
All right, let's start with the idea that Sartre was ready to tear down, this myth of the pilot in the cockpit.
You know, for pretty much all of history, the ego was seen as this little inhabitant living inside your consciousness. It's the I that has your thoughts, that feels your feelings. It's the CEO that pulls everything together into one neat, tidy package called you. It feels totally intuitive, right? Of course, there's a me in here.
And bam! This is where Sartre just flips the whole table. The common view says the ego is in consciousness. It's the driver. Sartre says, nope. The ego is an object in the world, something consciousness looks at. It's not the source of your thoughts. It's something your thoughts create.
So how in the world does he get to that conclusion? Well, Sartre's first move is a big one. He says the cockpit is totally empty.
For Sartre, your consciousness isn't like a bucket that you fill up with ideas and feelings. It's not a thing at all. It's pure action. It's this constant, spontaneous reaching out. Your consciousness is always a consciousness of something. Of the screen you're looking at, of the noise outside, of that idea you're puzzling over. It only exists by pointing at the world.
And this quote just nails it. It's such a powerful image. Consciousness isn't a place, it's a force. It's a wind blowing toward objects. There's nothing inside it. The only thing it is this relentless, outward-facing rush.
Okay. But if my consciousness is just some empty wind, then where does this super powerful, constant feeling of being an I come from? I mean, it feels real. Well, Sartre says the answer is all about looking in the rearview mirror.
This is the key. Sartre says that when you're just in the moment, totally absorbed in what you're doing, there is no I. It doesn't exist. The I only pops into existence when you take a step back and think about what you were just doing. Let's break it down. Step 1, you're running for a bus. You're not thinking, I am running. You are the pounding feet, the burning lungs, the bus getting closer. There's no I. Then, step 2, you make it. You collapse into a seat and you think back. And that's when step 3 happens. The thought forms, wow, I really had to sprint for that. The I is born right there in that moment of reflection.
And here's Sartre himself just putting it perfectly. In the act itself, there's no I. There's just consciousness of the streetcar having to be overtaken. The experience itself is totally impersonal. It's a field of pure action, not a story being told by a central character.
So if the I is not inside us and it only appears when we look back, then what on earth is it and where is it? Here's the big reveal. The ego is an object. Simple as that. Just like a table is an object your consciousness can focus on, so is yourself. It's like a mental construct, a highlight reel of all your actions, feelings, and beliefs that your mind bundles together and then looks at as one single thing out there in the world. And what's this object made of? Sartre says it's this collection of stuff. You've got your states, which are ongoing feelings, like a grudge you've held for years. You've got your actions, everything from making coffee to questioning a decision. And then you have qualities, the labels you give yourself, like, oh, I'm a generous person. Your mind takes all of this and builds the object called me.
Let's use his famous example, the hatred of Peter. Sartre says that feeling isn't some black goo bubbling up inside you. It's an object you've built. It's the title you give to the collection of all those individual moments of being annoyed or disgusted by Peter. The hatred is an idea, an object that your consciousness points to out there in the world.
Now, I know this all might seem like some really abstract philosophical gymnastics, but trust me, this idea has some massive, real-world consequences for how we think about our lives.
And here it is. This is the big one. If your self, your personality, your habits, your character is just an object that you built, then it doesn't define you. It doesn't lock you in. You are not your past mistakes. At your very core, you are that spontaneous, totally free consciousness. You are always, at every moment, free to build a different self.
But that much freedom is actually terrifying. It's dizzying. Sartre captures this feeling of dread perfectly here. If there's no fixed me telling you what to do, what stops you from doing anything? What keeps you on a single path? It's a vertigo-inducing level of possibility.
And that, right there, is the ego's real job. It's a mask. It's a security blanket. We build this solid-looking thing called me so we can hide behind it. It lets us say things like, oh, I could never do that. I'm just not that kind of person. It gives us a character to play, so we don't have to face the terrifying blank page of our own freedom.
So in the end, by kicking the ego out of our heads and putting it out in the world, Sartre does something amazing. He forces us to stop staring at our own navels, searching for some secret true self. Our meaning isn't buried inside us. It's found out here, in the world, in the things we do and the person we choose to build, action by action.
So that leaves us with one last kind of haunting question. Sartre called our sense of self a constantly gulling mirage. So when you look at yourself, at the person you believe you are, what are you really seeing? Is it who you truly are, or is it just a beautiful, comforting mirage you've built to make it through the day?